Avoid making speeches, just say clarifications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the PS for that comprehensive explanation. I just want clarification on whether there is a working and effective appeal system for students that have been placed in the wrong band so that they don't waste a lot of time getting entry. Secondly, when do you factor in the changing circumstances? For instance, where you have students that were in a private school, but their parents have since died. I have such a case in my constituency. So is it within the application, or at what point do you take into account? And finally, on the issue of rural constituencies and digitization, Mr. Speaker, some of the issues that have been said about the cyber cafes. I know in my own constituency, I help students to apply. And even within my own constituency, there are days that they would sit for a whole day. There's no internet. So how, because that is a form of marginalization. And also, Mr. Speaker, the issue of that she has raised about whether there is a lot of dishonesty in data. Is it an issue of dishonesty in data or a reality of the country that we actually have very many poor people and very many single mothers who are not meeting, and that perhaps almost everyone falls within that first band?
Yes, Owen Bayer.
Honorable
If
Speaker,
you restrict to one request,
yes,
it will make it easier for everybody.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the PS for that detailed response, but I want to say this, Honorable Speaker, the Constitution provides certain parameters, especially when you come to equalization fund. There are some regions in this country that have long been marginalized, and they are part of Kenya. There's also one aspect when it comes to funding for counties. There is an aspect of poverty that is embedded inside, that some counties get more money than others. That's my background. Honorable Speaker, I have checked some of the funding that have been given to students, particularly in Kilifi County, which is one of those counties that are part of, have been marginalized for long. They're part of equalization. They get resources, a lot more resources on the poverty index when it comes to funds to counties. But all of them, almost 80% of students from Kilifi have been put in band 4 and 5. Band 4 and 5 is actually the last band in terms of funding. How do you expect the poor students of Ganze, of Kaloleni, where even this country, the Constitution has identified as a poor area, be put among those that are rich? How do you expect the people of Kilifi to go to university? How do you expect even the local university there, which admits almost 70% of the local students, how do you expect that university to operate? Because it will not get as much money as other universities. Those universities in those marginalized areas will collapse based on this model. Honorable Speaker, what I request is that they revise. Students from Kilifi and marginalized areas that people know about should be put in band 1, where they pay the least amount in the terms of household. And that is the only way you are going to rescue this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
What is the point of order, Mshomba?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to just ask whether the Honorable member for Kilifi is in order to just say that the only needy students that need to be looked at in band 5 and 6 are from his constituency. Every child in this country under the law is needy. Everybody is needy, not only in Kilifi, even in Githongori. Everybody is needy. So we need to be treated equally by the law.
I want to respond.
Order, honorable members.
I want to respond to that, Honorable Speaker.
I understood Owen Bayer differently, but let the PS will answer. Let's take the third. Speaker. Mama Nairobi. Everybody will have a chance. Just be patient.
Thank you,
Ask
Mr. Speaker.
one clarification or one question.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Adding on to what the Minority Whip had mentioned about the students, I wanted to understand, we have right now Form 4 students, many Form 4 students are not able to access their result slips because they still owe the schools money. And I was told that we had actually lifted that. The Ministry of Education had actually said that no school should withhold certificates. So a lot of students are not able to actually apply because they don't have their result slips for the Form 4. So I want to know, how are you going to coordinate this? Because you're one ministry. Release of the results so that the students can actually apply. So a lot of students are being locked out because of not being able to access their result slip, because schools are holding them because they haven't cleared with the school the fees that are due to the school. So I want to know how we're dealing with that. Thank you.
No joyriders here.
Side, this side.
Yes. Mary Emase. PS, after those 4, you respond, and feel free to invite any of the people accompanying you to respond, and your responses must be concise and precise, no unnecessary stories.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, most of the students also who are applying for this funding do not have identity cards. They applied for IDs, some of them as early as January this year. Up to now, they do not have identity cards. I want to request the PS also to liaise with our counterpart to ensure that the students are able to get the IDs. Allow me to ask the second one, Honorable Speaker.
That first one she already covered in her explanation. Go on.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I want the CS to assure Kenyans, how sustainable is this funding program? Are all the students who are going to apply going to benefit, or there will be some rejections? And if you are going to reject some, because you've already alluded to the fact that the data is inaccurate, so how are you going, what parameters are you going to use to reject others? Are all Kenyans going to apply, going to get? And finally, when is the deadline for application for the period that you have extended? Thank you.
Patient members, everybody will have an opportunity, even if we sit up to 2. Go on, PS.
Honorable Speaker, the first question from Honorable Odhiambo was on whether we have a working appeal system. I'd like to confirm that yes, there's a working appeal system, and we invite all the students who have issues to visit the portal www.hef.co.ke. The next question was, when do we factor the changing circumstances? Ideally, at the end of every semester. So for example, right now we will capture the data, but if before release the funding. And so before we release the funding for the second semester, if a student's circumstances have changed, they can write to us or approach us through the appeals.
Sorry, Speaker, I was actually not speaking about a person who is already admitted and their circumstances change. Because when you are factoring in, you are going to ask about which schools they went to. Is there a question that asks that even though you went to this school, your parents have since died, so that it is not taken into account? I have live cases like that.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to confirm that yes, we capture information, current information on the family structure, and that would cover that component. Then the issue about the circumstances of rural constituencies and connectivity, we work with the Huduma centers, which are quite well spread across the country. We also encourage students to visit any nearby university or institution to be supported to connect and apply for this funding. And we have been working with universities to spread this message, working together with local leaders. Dishonesty in data, is it an issue of dishonesty or a reality of this country? I'm persuaded by the evidence, Honorable Speaker, that we have a serious problem of integrity, and it is the responsibility of all of us, leaders and families, and especially the educational institutions, to advance moral fiber through value-based education. Honorable Speaker, I will invite Geoffrey Monari, the CEO Universities Fund, to respond to the question by Honorable Bayer.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My name is Geoffrey Monari, the CEO of Universities Fund. I'll tackle the question by Honorable Mbaya on the issue of poverty from Kilifi County. Indeed, we do consider poverty from across the country. We even go further to look at each location. We have gotten data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics where they have classified the poverty index per location. So that is what is considered, and there are marks that are given. In fact, the marks are 2%. We allocate 2 percentage points for this allocation.
Did you listen to his question?
Yes.
He asked a very simple question. Why is Kilifi classified as one of the poorest counties in Kenya, having its students who have applied, all or majority of them, placed in band 4 and 5? That was the question.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I'll go now to
I
that.
discourage you from stories. Just answer the question.
Okay.
You can say how many hands are waiting.
Many of the students who may have been classified in these bands of 4 and 5 depends on the information that they gave us. We highly depend on the information that is given by the students, and once we receive this information, we now are able to classify them. However, they have a chance to give us further information if they are not classified in the correct band. Thank you.
Yes. They have
Honorable
not finished answering all of them.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Passaris wanted to find out how we deal with the Form 4 students who do not have their certificates. I would like to clarify that the certificate is not a requirement for applying for funding, only the KCSE index number, ID or birth certificate. Honorable Emase wanted to find out what we do with the students who do not have IDs. I think, again, we clarified their alternative identification documents like the KCSE certificate, and how the deadline for this new funding application process, once the students are at the universities, it is 31st of December, after which we shall start then revamping the tool as we prepare for the next cycle of admissions. And how sustainable is the funding for this program? Honorable Speaker, we realize that the problems afflicting universities require massive funding. And so the only way that we can address this is by sharing the burden of financing education between present and future generations. And that is the households, the government, and the students through the loans. For this method is sustainable because the students who receive scholarships, when they graduate, that money is then availed for the students who would be joining with a little addition. However, the sustainability really lies with heavy funding of the Higher Education Loans Board. And for this to be sustained, we are already working on designing a social bond, adopting what is applicable in Malaysia, where the Higher Education Loans Board does not depend on exchequer at all, but They run that bond. They have angel investors and other investors who then provide the capitation required for the system to be sustained through loans. Thank you.
Let's take another 4. Let's start with